You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's The Biggest Loser After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's The Biggest Loser After Show.
I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down.
Welcome, everybody, to Season 15, Episode 9 of The Biggest Loser. Yes, that is our very cheesy intro song.
I love it, though. I love this song.
Yeah. Very appropriate for how we start off this particular episode. For those of you that may be joining us for the first time, I'm your host, Lauren Mendoza, and joining me in the booth is...
Hi, everyone. I'm Marisa Serafini.
Thanks, Marisa, for being here.
Of course.
So we start off the episode actually seeing Bobby, who was eliminated last week, and it was really kind of amazing. And I've noticed in this particular episode that everybody is starting, this is kind of the week where you're really starting to see the change in all the contestants. I mean, you definitely have already been seeing it as we progress. You know, you kind of notice, oh, that person's lost a lot of weight in their face or whatever. But at the end of this particular episode, we get to see them side by side with how they started at the very beginning. And it's a little insane. And that's how I felt when we first saw Bobby in the very beginning of this episode. We see Bobby has lost over 90 pounds since he joined the ranch. And I think for some of these players, like Hap, for example, David J, that wouldn't be, I mean, some of them have already lost that and they look good, but Bobby already looks like he's pretty much down to a normal size. I think he's got a ways to go, but it was just kind of amazing. I actually thought he looked like he lost more than 90 pounds to me. So it was good to see him, but even just as important as losing the weight, he talks about going home. He was able to then have that very serious conversation with his dad and come out to his dad. We saw in the last episode he had this really great heart-to-heart with Bob Harper about his sexuality and not being able to come out to his parents and kind of holding that in. And that was a little bit of his, I guess, emotional struggle and maybe why he's putting on weight, because he's not 100% comfortable with himself. So we saw that as well, just the positive outcome of him coming out to his dad and his dad's reaction. So his dad, I mean, he loves him. You know, it's his son, and he says, I love you. I have always loved you. I mean, you know, I don't remember exactly what his dad said, but basically something to that extent where you're still my son, no matter who you are, no matter who you love, you know, I love you. So that was great to see.
That's nice to hear. Especially, do you think having that reassurance from your father, your parental unit, do you think that'll, like, give him confidence and help him to even succeed even more?
I think it's a struggle off his shoulders. I think it's a weight, a worry that's completely off his shoulders, and he has the support of his parents. He's not hiding anything anymore. He's free to love whoever he wants. He's free to introduce, maybe there's somebody he's already in love with, and he's free to introduce that person into his family. You know, that's a huge weight for him to not have anymore. And I think, you know, he knew that his parents loved him regardless, or loved him. You know, he knew that he had their support in all the other areas of his life, but he was just so worried about this one thing and them not accepting him and them being very traditional. And now that that's, you know, out in the open and he still has their love and support, he probably only feels that much more confident in anything else that he sets out to do.
Right.
That's what I would think.
Yeah, I think that'll help him.
When you worry about something for so long, you probably dread it. And he has been carrying this secret for years. I think when you finally get past that and the outcome is just even better than what you expected, you feel more motivated. You're like, I got through that. I can do anything, and I have that support with me. I think we're going to see really great things from him, so I'm excited to actually see him in the finale. So we start off the episode going straight into the challenge, the Ring of Fire. But before they actually start, Allie, of course, right when she sees them, she always kind of has some surprises to throw her way, something to drop on them, and she gives a good surprise. This week, they are going into individuals, finally, which they're all so excited about, and I was a little bit excited about it too, because I think Marie said it best, where she said, that right now, this is kind of the moment where the challenge really starts for all of them, because they cannot depend on other people in their team to get them through the weigh-in. Being as an individual, weighing in as an individual, not being attached to a team, it's all on you. You could fall below the red or yellow line or whatever it might be that particular week. And so you need to depend on yourself. If you pull a low number, you can't depend on someone else on your team to pull some great big number that keeps your team safe.
Yeah, and going against that is also the other way. If you're doing good and then you have a teammate that's holding you back, then that, being individual now, it is just all the more they're in it for themselves.
Yes, I agree. And so I think I loved what Marie said, because she said it best, but it's also very obvious, I think, as this particular episode continues, you can see that the challenge has really begun. They're all just so much more fierce in this episode. So we start with the challenge, the Ring of Fire. And what the Ring of Fire is basically they each have to stand on one side supporting a pole that weighs 20% of what their personal body weight is. So they're each basically assigned a pole. They have to support that in the center of a ring that has a flame at the bottom. If they drop that pole and it touches the ring, then the entire ring bursts into flames and that person is out. The benefit to being the winner of this challenge is you get a 1 pound advantage at the weigh-in. And so, of course, everybody is fighting for this because every pound counts, and now you're on your own. So you can't depend on anybody else. So that is the rule of the challenge. They're all standing there holding their poles, and it's interesting because each of them are supporting different weight. And I'm thinking about it, and I think about, when I lift weights at the gym or I'm lifting dumbbells, and I'm not lifting 60 pounds, okay? And these guys, I think Hap is supporting 64 pounds. Jen is supporting 40 pounds, and even for me, that's a lot to just stand there static and hold it, and you don't know how long you're going to be holding it for because you're competing against everybody that's next to you. That's hard, So we see Tanya. I was definitely a little bit upset. She's supporting 42 pounds, and she's the first one to drop it. She didn't even look like she was trying. She looked like the first second that it got really challenging for her, that she just let it go. I don't even know that she lasted 20 minutes. I mean, maybe not even 10. I'm not really sure. We see Tanya fall out. We see Toomey. Then we see Jen. Hap even. Hap, it was kind of interesting because I think he was the one where he was adjusting. Everybody's kind of trying out different positions. Once your body gets really sore, holding it maybe underhand, you try overhand, or they would lean over to one side and try and hold it on one end and then move to the other, just so they could kind of keep their body moving and refresh their muscles. Hap just wasn't paying attention, I don't think, and dropped the pole. He probably could have lasted a little bit longer, but we see him out. We see Marie, and then we see Chelsea. We get towards the end where it's Matt, David, and Rachel, the three of them against each other, and they're all really, David and Rachel are really strong competitors in this game, and they have been so far. Matt, as much as I like him, I personally don't feel like he's this really strong competitor in the game. He just not really, doesn't really seem that way to me. I don't know what you guys think, but that's just what he seems to me. Doesn't really have that much, he's not that aggressive. Doesn't seem like he has a lot of drive. So I was actually surprised that he made it this far in this competition, but I think he just seemed a little bit more motivated in this particular episode. Rachel, on the other hand, I kind of, as we were going into this, when Rachel was talking about how excited she was about being at the individual state, and she was also talking about what I didn't mention, Allie letting them know that when they get to the end of, I guess, kind of the end of the competition, the last week at the ranch, they all get to compete in a triathlon. And the winner of the triathlon automatically wins a spot in the finale. So Rachel's thinking about that, and now she's completely on her own, and she immediately reminded me of Tara. So all of you guys watching that have been watching Biggest Loser for all the seasons that I have, you know Tara, you know who I'm talking about, and you know how amazing she was at all of the challenges of her season. I think she almost won every single one of them. Anytime she was competing on her own, she killed it. She just had this fierce motivation about her and focus and drive. And she was just that kind of person. If she wanted to win, she would do it. She would accomplish that. And Rachel is kind of proving that to me a little bit more and more. So as we go into this challenge, just immediately, that's what I'm thinking about with Rachel. And as we get to the end and we're seeing Rachel standing there, I'm not even kidding. She was not, like, she said it. She had a complete poker face. I thought she was so focused. She had it together. She was holding it. Even Allie mentioned Rachel in this entire competition hadn't moved a muscle. And then you've got like Jay and these big, strong guys that are like, really struggling and showing it in their face, and they're moving around and they're just trying to hold on as best as they can. And Rachel, not even moving, doesn't even look like she was adjusting, and just had the most serious face. Like, there were other people throughout the competition. Marie was like trembling to hold on. And we all know that feeling when you're trying so hard and your muscles are like,
right, that's got to be
about
so
to give
hard
out.
Because when you're holding an object like that, it just kind of becomes dead weight after a certain point in time. And not to get all too physics here, but it's all still potential energy. It's not kinetic motion that, like, if you're holding a heavy object but you're moving, it doesn't seem so heavy. But when you're in one space or in one spot and you're not moving, then it just becomes heavier.
Well, and then your muscles are just tensing, you know? I mean, they're going into they're passing 45 minutes of just standing there and holding something. Yeah. And honestly, I would understand even just the slightest bit of groaning and grunting and struggle in her face. Nothing. She had just the straightest, most focused face ever. So I was really pulling for her. I wanted her to win. I was hoping she would win. When we get down, so it was Matt, David, and then I think Jay. Jay was at the end with her. I know that. And then it got down to the two of them, and they're at 92 minutes. And I know Jay is strong, and she knows Jay is strong, but you could see that Jay is struggling, and Rachel is saying she's struggling, but you're not seeing any of it. So I was really pretty convinced that she was going to win, and sure enough, she did. Rachel wins the challenge. So that means at the weigh-in, she has that 1 pound advantage, which is super exciting for her. And of course, Allie doesn't release this other piece of news until we find out who wins the 1 pound advantage. She tells them at the end of this that at this week's weigh-in, 2 people will be eliminated. Not 1, 2 people with a red line, not a yellow line. Doesn't mean lowest percentage. People get a vote. No, that is not the case. Red line, 2 people go home. And I'm thinking, had they known that before, there's probably a few people that would have held on just a little bit longer. I still think Rachel would win, but I think that changes the competition a little bit when you know that it's not going to be just one person, that there's 2 people, because that could be you.
Definitely, and I think that adds more motivation to the contestants for the next challenge that they do.
Yeah. Well, they go back at the gym, And as individuals, it's really kind of exciting, not just for the contestants because they have the opportunity to work out with different trainers and try out different things, but also for the trainers. I mean, you see Dolvett just so excited. He's so funny. He gets into the gym and he's like, there's some of you beautiful people that I've just been dying to work with. Bob, and I kind of knew this, Bob was so excited to work with Rachel. He kind of has this thing for these athletic women, these like fierce athletic women. Bob has a thing for them. I mean, it's a trainer thing. It's just a trainer thing. He like has this like
There's nothing wrong
fantasy about working with them and training them. He's just like loves it. No, there's nothing wrong with it. It's kind of great. So he was super excited to work with Rachel for the obvious reasons. We've been saying it from the very beginning. We know she's an athlete. She talked about that in the beginning of the season about being a swimmer previously, but we've seen it in her. She has that athletic drive and she has that determination. It's just, she's kind of amazing. You knew she was going to do great things, and Bob even says it himself. He calls her a beast, and that's exactly what she is. So we see Dolvett working out with Matt and Hap. We see Bob working out with Rachel, Jay, and Jen. And Jillian is in the gym with David, Toomey, probably others. I know I'm definitely missing others, but these were the key contestants that they focused on for each trainer. With Dolvett, with Matt, we see a little flashback of Matt from when he first started, and I think he was working out, with Dolvett and Jillian as well, and just kind of not really believing that he could do anything that they challenged him to do. Anything they said, run one more minute, he's like, I can't, or I need a minute. We saw him kind of challenging them in the very beginning, and now I don't know if it's because they went to individuals this episode that I felt like he was so much more motivated and so much more confident that he was really killing it in the gym. And he said so himself. He said, in the beginning, when I first started, I really didn't think that, if they told me to do something, I thought, I can't. Now when they tell me to do something, my immediate thought is, how fast can I do it? Or, it's like what they say when they tell you to jump, you say how high. When they tell you to run, you say how fast. That kind of thing. Now that's his mindset. And I think a lot of people are getting there. I think we see that with Jay as well. I mean, he's been a fighter for a while and it's been very obvious. But I just think as they continue, they become that much stronger and motivated and confident and almost eager. Like they want to do it. They want to run. They want to push themselves a little bit harder and exceed their trainer's expectations. So we see that moment with Matt and Dolvett, and Dolvett says, how it's been such an honor to train him, which is really great. And I think Matt seems like he's a little bit on the sensitive side, so I think he likes to hear that. Then we see Bob with Rachel, Jay, and Jen, and Rachel and Jay, they're just insane. So they're obviously killing it with Bob, and Bob's loving it. Jen's getting up there, and I think, Jen's obviously noticing the competition of Jay and Rachel and how strong they are and feeling like she can't really measure up. And I think that really gets her when we see them doing these box jumps. It comes up to Jen, and she's about to jump, and I mean, if anybody's ever tried this, you may have had a similar experience. I know I've done this before where you're looking at the height that you need to jump up and land on, and there's a part of you that's like, oh my God, if I don't make that, I will trip and fall on my face on top of a box, on the floor, on the concrete, whatever it might be, and that is not a good thought. And you see that get to her. And so she goes to jump, and then she just stops, and she won't jump. She will not. It's like her mind is getting to her and keeping her from finishing this. And then she starts thinking even more, and then she's trying to talk herself into it, and Bob is there talking to her too and saying, you can do this, stop thinking. Then he gets even a little bit deeper and is like, there is a red line this week, there are 2 people going home, you better get it together or you risk being one of those people. And she just struggles. We see her later in, I think, in the trainer's room or wherever, just kind of resting, icing, whatever she might be doing. And she's recalling that, trying not jumping onto this box. And it's really getting to her. She's struggling with it emotionally. And Bob's so sweet, he's all kinds of great. So, he gives her a really good talk. And I think she comes out of it feeling more positive about herself and knowing that she can do these things, that she needs to focus more on the positive thoughts rather than the negative, and that's what's going to help her progress. We also see Jillian with David and talking to David, and David's really recalling the time in the very beginning when he was kicked out of the gym. He wasn't doing what Jillian asked him to do. And again, we hear David's story, which is heartbreaking and kills me. And it always reminds me of what kind of a person David is and how strong he is. And he's gone through, what is the worst nightmare to so many of us. And now he's here and he's pushing through and he's succeeding and he's accomplishing everything. So he sits down and has this really great heart-to-heart with Jillian, and it just makes you love David a little bit more. Then we get right into our last chance workout. We get into our last chance workout. In the last chance workout, of course, they're all still going at it kind of crazy. I don't know what you guys noticed in this, but one of the things that I noticed, Jay is like insane. He is a beast. I guess I've been saying it this entire episode, so I apologize for repeating myself. He's so strong, and we're continuing to see it. But there's this part in the last chance workout where Jay is running on the treadmill, and Jillian's just kind of pushing him, and actually Bob is there pointing out, how fast he's running. And I'm looking at him, and not only does he look so much thinner and so fit, he looks like he's a runner. I mean, he is like sprinting and seems like he's doing it in stride and with ease. And of course, he's got his cowboy hat on, as he likes to work out that way. I don't know. It sounds like it would be so irritating. But regardless, I feel like every episode we're seeing how strong he is. And in this particular episode, I feel like he's going to be in the end. Like, we're going to see him at the finale. And he's reminding me of Joe from last season, where Joe was this, football player, football player. And all of a sudden, as he starts to gain confidence and he's doing better and he's losing more weight and he's getting stronger, you see that athlete in him really come out where they want to push themselves. Like, he would be pushing himself without those trainers standing right next to him. You can kind of see that fire in him. That's what I noticed in the last chance workout. So we get right in to the weigh-in. Reminder, 2 people go home. Red line, there's no voting. We first see Rachel get up there because she's got the 1 pound advantage, and Rachel loses 4 pounds. It's not amazing, but it's not a bad number. The same with Chelsea. She gets up, she loses 4 pounds, and Chelsea's so cute and hopeful, and she's consistently losing. Sometimes she loses bigger numbers than others, and this wasn't a great number for her, but again, it wasn't bad because she is already, she's getting smaller. So now she's at 177. She's not going to be pulling these amazing, huge numbers anymore. Jay gets up there and he pulls 5 pounds, which isn't bad. I think he could probably pull a bigger number, but he pulls 5 pounds, which gets him into the 100s. He's at 196 now. And when they put him side by side with what he looked like in the very first weigh-in, I didn't think he looked like the same person. He looked so different. And he's just dropped so much weight. It's like fallen off of him. And he's so much thinner now. His face, he just looked like a completely different person. And I think in total, they mentioned that so far on the ranch, he's already lost 101 pounds. That's amazing. Wow. That's amazing. That is a new life right there. If he went home today, 100 pounds lighter. And he's got all this confidence and he's got all this strength. I don't have any doubt that he's going to succeed. Then we see Marie. She gets up there. She loses 5 pounds, which is pretty good for her. Toomey gets up there. I don't know what Toomey's doing, if she's not eating. I don't know. She's got this magic potion, amazing metabolism, something crazy. She pulls 9 pounds.
Wow.
Yes, that is a
for
wow.
an individual, that's really
for
good.
her. For a woman, but she's been pulling big numbers, and I don't know how she does it. We see her work out. We see her push herself, but we haven't had this major focus on her as we have with other contestants. So, 9 pounds is amazing. I don't know what it is about her where she's just has this ability to just drop the weight. It's kind of like what we were seeing with Bobby, where like he was just pulling insane numbers and you didn't see this extra effort that you weren't seeing with other contestants. I don't know, but I'm amazed and I kind of love her for it, and I'm so happy for her because she gets to celebrate every time she steps on the scale. Then we see David get up there, and David pulls 12 pounds. He loses 12 pounds. That's good. That is so good. Tanya, she worries me every time. She never pulls big numbers, and I'm concerned that she's going to be one of the next to go, but I've kind of been thinking that for a while at this point. But, you know, she doesn't have the team to pull her weight anymore because she's one of those where the red team has been safe. So she's been lucky. She doesn't have that anymore. And she gets up there and she loses 7 pounds. And I honestly feel like that's the biggest number she's pulled this season. And so she's ecstatic. She's crying, moved to tears. And I don't know if it's because she knows she doesn't have the team to keep her in the game that she pushed herself a little bit harder this week. I don't know what it is, but lucky for her, she loses 7 pounds. Hap gets on the scale, and we've seen Hap consistently pull low numbers. Bob really questioning his nutrition, not knowing, you know, Hap is probably one of the people that works the hardest or did on the blue team. So Bob really never understood why he wasn't dropping weight. So he gets up there and he only loses 5 pounds. And for Hap, you know, he was at 321. He weighed in this time at 316. He still should be pulling double digits. He's not pulling enough for his size. Jennifer gets up there. All the while, we're seeing Chelsea's name move down, and I'm kind of worried, and I could tell that, I mean, she's obviously worried as well, and I was thinking, no, I don't want Chelsea to be the one to go home. Jennifer gets on the scale, and she loses 5 pounds, which makes her safe and puts Hap in the first spot of elimination, and we automatically know Hap is going home at that point. Matt gets on the scale, and he needs to lose more than 5 pounds to be safe, which would move Chelsea down. And unfortunately, he only loses 5 pounds. All he needed was 1 more pound, and Chelsea would have been home. I have to say, as nice and as great as Matt is, I was really happy. I don't know about you guys at home, but I was really happy to see Chelsea stay. I like Matt. I like Matt a lot. I love what he said. He says that all along he's made the right decision because he is the one that we learned postponed his wedding to come to The Biggest Loser. He had a wedding date picked out. I don't know how far along in the planning that they were, but they canceled that wedding date and postponed it just so he could have this experience. And you know what? Now when he gets married, he's going to be at least 90 pounds lighter. Probably more, given the time that he'll probably work out before the finale. I would imagine they won't get married before the finale. So, I mean, the guy could be 150 pounds lighter than what he was, and ultimately he's entering a marriage healthier than what he was.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I was just going to say that. I was like, He has a new start, especially starting a whole new life with someone else. Maybe he can get his newfound wife to join and keep his... exercise, his
she's
health,
gonna have to
keep going and keep working out. So.
Yeah, so, you know, he's entering a whole new life with more confidence, healthier, and he's going to be better able to be there for his significant other. And hopefully you're right, Marissa. I hope she joins him in that new healthy lifestyle. She's so cute, and you could tell when we saw her on the show, she's so head over heels in love with him that I don't doubt she will do whatever it takes to be supportive if that means joining him. I don't doubt that she would want to. She was like the sweetest person.
And she already sounds like a supportive person, allowing to push their wedding date back to be on the show.
He was the one that was like feeling so guilty about it. We saw him earlier in the season have this deep conversation with Bob, and I was like on the day that they were supposed to be getting married if they had gone through with it, and just feeling guilty for having done that, but at the same time knowing deep inside that he did the right thing. So we saw that conflict with him, but as he gets deeper into this competition, and like I said, when we see him in this particular episode and he's so confident, he's that much more motivated, he's pushing himself even harder. I kind of feel the only thing I feel bad about with Matt is that I felt like in this episode we really saw him kind of catch his stride, kind of find his confidence, and I think he would be getting that much stronger. You know, I feel like it's an unfortunate time for him to go home because I think where he's at mentally and emotionally and physically, I think he would have accomplished really great things if he were to have moved forward in the competition. But you know what? It's also maybe at the same time a better time for him to leave. Had he left last week, maybe not as confident, it would be harder for him to do this on his own. So maybe right now he's in a good place, and hopefully that will just push him to be that much more successful. So we'll see him in the finale and see his progress. Actually, we'll probably see him when we come back from the break, and hopefully Hap as well. Getting to that, actually, at the very end of this elimination, after Ali actually says you two have been eliminated, she sends everybody to say goodnight and says you might not be going home or something to that extent, which makes absolute no sense. Hap and everybody else is confused, thinking this total twist is going to be thrown in, and we find out that it does. A little teaser for us next week, or sorry, not next week, next episode. We come back in 3 weeks, January 7th. You guys, I expect to see you all here. Ali says that all the contestants will be coming back, and the chance for one eliminated contestant to come back.
Any eliminated contestant?
Well, that's the thing, which really bothers me, is that they kind of were very vague. They didn't say what would determine which eliminated contestant comes back. She says, you know, on January 7th, tune in to see all the contestants, plus one of the past eliminated contestants. Will it be Ruben? Will it be, I don't know. I saw a bunch of faces. They brought them all into the gym. I saw a lot of faces, and some of them I was like, I don't even remember that person's name because it's been so long since we've seen them on the show. But apparently all the eliminated contestants will in some way be competing to win a spot back on the show. I'm hoping it's Ruben again, because that would be kind of amazing if he got kicked off twice.
That'd be history.
Back on.
Coming back like 2 more
And then if he were to get kicked off, he'd get kicked off 3 times.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
It would be terrible.
But to return twice would be amazing.
Be kind of lucky.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the twist that we end with, but Ali never says how they will be competing. She basically just says, tune in January 7th and you'll see all the contestants plus one of the eliminated one. Which one will it be? So I imagine sometime January 7th, they're going to reveal to us how this was determined, or we'll see it maybe in the beginning of the episode. But, Marisa,
yes,
that wraps our episode.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. So join me back January 7th. Have a very happy new year. I'll see you in 2014. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can always comment on YouTube, or you could tweet at me at LO_VALLES. And Marisa, where can we find you?
You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Serafini TV.
All right. Thanks, guys. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
See you January 7th.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.